What's going on, you guys? Welcome on back to the channel. And life is a funny thing when you really think about it, because I have been trying to predict when Momoshiki will show up back up in the narrative for probably years now. I've started since like 2023 when Two Blue Vortex started, and a lot of those videos don't exist anymore because of copyright. But I have been talking about when Momoshiki could possibly come back into the narrative for like 2 years now. And I finally reached a point last chapter where I was like, you know what? He's not back yet. I'm just gonna let it get to the point where I'll talk about Momoshiki again when he actually shows back up in the narrative. I'll let Ikimoto decide when he shows back up. I did not think he was going to show back up literally the very next chapter. I was not expecting that. I was not expecting to get my wish literally the next chapter. So all these years of waiting have finally paid off. Momoshiki is finally back in the narrative, and now we have a very clear like goal as to what's going to happen with Momoshiki. Now, this chapter of Boruto is very nice because a lot of it feels like Boruto making like his last rounds before he essentially doesn't get to see anybody anymore. I don't think I don't think Boruto makes it out of this narrative. I've I talked about this before where Boruto, I feel like, is a character that might not make it out of his own story because of everything that's going on with him. Boruto's even already talked about the fact that Konoha wouldn't be a bad place to die. So I do think that Boruto might not make it out just because he's somebody that even wants to clear Kawaki's name to some degree. So he wants Kawaki to be able to fulfill his goal of killing all the Otsutsuki, and Boruto being one, he wants to let Kawaki probably take him out so that way Kawaki isn't like filled with all this anger and hatred anymore. But that's enough about that. That's enough about Boruto going around making his final rounds, because that hit different. When he went to go see Konohamaru, when he went to go see Himawari, it was like he was like making like amends with his past life that he's never going to be able to have again. I think he's finally come to terms with the fact that he's never going to get to see, or he's never going to get to have that life back. I think that's what those panels really meant. But enough about that. Like I could talk all day about the chapter as a whole, but I think I'm gonna wait for the official release for that. The main thing that I really wanted to focus on is Boruto and Momoshiki and the deal that they made. What makes this so good is that we find out that Momoshiki is essentially trapped in Boruto's body. So even if Boruto dies, Momoshiki is still trapped. So Momoshiki still has nowhere to go. Momoshiki has no options. So what does Boruto do? Boruto offers him a deal. And I wasn't expecting Boruto to make a deal with Momoshiki. This is something I never thought was going to happen, because for the longest time, I thought Boruto was scared of Momoshiki and how he could take over his body. But I think now Boruto is starting to realize that if he wants to be able to take out Jura, if he wants to be able to create a better future and create a better world for his friends and his family and his brother, the only way that he can do that is if he makes a deal with Momoshiki and allows him to have his body in exchange for the power that Momoshiki can give him. That that honestly hits so different, man, because like I was not expecting that at all. I was not expecting a plot point where Boruto goes in and makes a deal with Momoshiki, because I thought Boruto had it all planned out with Kashin Koji, right? I thought this was all set in stone. I thought they pretty much had everything covered. But I think we're now at the point of the narrative where Boruto is at a crossroads, right? Boruto is realizing that he's not strong enough on his own to take out Jura. Like, Boruto has been limiting how much chakra he uses. He doesn't use shadow clones anymore. He's been doing all this to prevent his karma from activating. And he's realizing now that if he wants to be able to take out Jura, if he wants to be able to beat them, he can't fight with limitations anymore. He has to fight all out. And the only way he can fight all out is if he fights without having to worry about his karma. So we're now at the point where Boruto makes a deal with Momoshiki where he's basically like, if you give me your power in order to beat Jura, I will give you my body. Now, I don't know if Boruto is going to try to find some way to finagle out of that deal at some point in the story, but as far as we know, Boruto has made a deal essentially with the devil in Momoshiki. Now, how does this play about in the next coming chapters? When does it happen? Like, are we now fast tracked to like the end of the narrative? Who knows at this point, man? Two Blue Vortex is a story that has been wildly unpredictable. And this is just the biggest curveball that I think they've implemented into the story. Boruto offering his body up to Momoshiki is something I don't think anybody really expected. So the fact that this is a plot point that we're getting now in the narrative is so like it really allows for so much more thinking and discussion on the series that was ever there before, because now it makes you think, was Boruto thinking about giving his body up to Momoshiki before Into Blue Vortex? And I don't think he was, because early into Blue Vortex, you could see Boruto was pretty much the strongest character in the verse at that point. But then when he first met Jura and all of them, he realized that he was going to, I think he realized subconsciously that he was going to need help to some degree. He thought he could get that with Kawaki, but he realizes if he wants to be able to fight on his own, if he wants to be able to beat them, he realizes that he has to give Momoshiki control. He has to delve into that power, because if he doesn't delve into that power, it's all for naught. It's all for naught, and he could potentially die without really making a big change on the world, and all of his friends and family could die. That's what I think is weighing on Boruto the most. He knows that he can't get his old life back. So instead of trying to make everybody remember him, he's essentially going to make a deal with Momoshiki, potentially give up his own life, and in turn make it so that the world is somewhere that's inhabitable for his friends and his family and his brother. And honestly, that's a story, or that's an ending that is very perfect for Boruto in some way. But I don't think Boruto dies at this point. I don't know if Boruto dies because we still have to think about the flash forward, right? The flash forward is still a thing where Boruto versus Kawaki does happen. So, what happens in that fight now? Do Boruto and Momoshiki kind of fight for control of the body during that fight? What happens? How do we figure that out? Maybe Kawaki wants to trap Boruto where he kept Naruto, so that way maybe Momoshiki can't take over there. Who knows what's going on with that fight, man? That fight now has way more implications than I ever thought before. But I think I'm going to leave it there for now. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. How do you guys feel about Boruto making a deal with Momoshiki? Do you think, similar to me, that with Boruto making this deal, he is essentially giving up all hope of going back to his former life and in exchange for the power to take out Jura? Or do you guys think it's something completely different? He's going to be able to get out of the deal and he's going to be able to live the life that he's always wanted to live. Let me know what you guys think. Like, comment, subscribe. And as always, I'm going to talk to you guys next time. Bye.